All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the September 3rd, 2020 meeting of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners. Would you please rise and join me in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. I'm Jeff Benton, President of the Board. To my right is our Vice President, Gary Merrill, and our County Administrator, Mike Fromer. To my left is fellow Commissioner Barb Lewis, and Sarah DeNova is our clerk today, so we can start.
Resolution number 20-772, in the matter of approving the electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held August 31st, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 20-772. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 20-773, in the matter of approving purchase orders, then and now certificates and payments of warrants and batch number CMA PR 0902.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 20-773. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 20-774, in the matter of a new liquor license request from Tamarican Company doing business as Get-Go 3503 and forwarding to the Ohio Division of Liquor Control with no objections and no request for a hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 20-774. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 20-775, in the matter of approving a services agreement between the Delaware County Sheriff's Office, the Delaware County Board of Commissioners, and VirTra Incorporated for simulated firearms equipment and training services.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion,
Morning, Commissioners. Dave Wiseman with the Sheriff's Office. I just want to give you some insight into what this actually is. It is known as a firearm simulator, but it's actually a lot more than that. It's more of the buzzword is a de-escalation is what it's mainly going to be used for. That it'll put the officers in a live situation that's taped, and then they have to make decisions on how to appropriately handle the situation and then evaluate their force accordingly. This is not only for our deputies, it's also for our corrections side of the house also. So we're going to use it at both sides of the house. It's a very large piece of equipment. It'll probably take up like half of this room is how large it is. We have space at the Developmental Disability Building at our South Sub is where we currently have it set to go down there. Projected would be when we, if everything goes accordingly with the new building, we'd be moving it over there with us, and we already made plans accordingly down the future for where it's at also. The goal is that once we get it, we could also videotape things like this room, the courthouse, etc. So when the deputies are interacting, it would actually be a real live scene that they're seeing here, not a video from someplace else. So any questions that you may have, I can answer.
is this a new approach to this type of training?
This training has been around for a while. We've probably been at this for a couple of years trying to figure out which piece of equipment's the best because you get electronics and different things. There's different models that have been out there, so it's basically it's taking an officer, especially the younger officers we have coming straight out of the academy, and instead of going to a domestic, we have an opportunity to put them in a domestic situation to see how they would react and how they talk to people and try to help them through those situations. So we're trying to add that stress factor. When we get in the firearm side of it, the firearm that would be used will be our duty firearms, but they have pieces that interchange with it that will show where the shootings take place, and the OC spray also. So it's actually what we're using. And then there's also like a stun type of gun that the officers put on their belt, so if they get hit or whatever, it would show where their injury would happen at also, to tell them to move and different things also. If this purchase is approved, of course, when we get everything up and running, I'd like to invite everybody down to take a look at it to see what it is also at that point also.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Vote.
Vote on motion 20-775. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 20-776, in the matter of approving specifications and setting the bid opening date and time for the project known as ITB number 20-02, snow removal services.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion,
Good morning, John Melvin, Director of Facilities. This is that time of year again when we need to start talking about snow. So we
We
need to
didn't
go.
have much last year.
No, actually, yeah. Yeah, we did very little last year, so that we could be in for it this year. So we're going to put out to bid the snow removal for all the parking lots and driveways, all the county buildings. We will be getting a new contractor this year because Lauren Poole, who had the contract previously, has retired and sold off all his equipment. So, so we will be hiring a new contractor this year. So,
All right, vote?
Vote on motion 20-776. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 20-777, in the matter of donating personal property not needed for public use to the Crawford County Sheriff's Office.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
was approached by Detective Bessinger, is actually on the school board at Winford in Crawford County. Winford School District has hired, through the Crawford County Sheriff's Office, a school resource officer. And the Crawford County Sheriff's Office does not have a cruiser to provide them. With the main purpose of the cruiser is mainly to be parked at the school so that the presence is known of the school resource officer. We have this Crown Vic that the Sheriff's Office has turned over to be sold. It's 2010 with 165,000 miles on it, and asked if we donate this, we would actually go through the Crawford County Sheriff's Office to be used by the Winford, am I saying that right? Eric has a history with that school district, so to be used by them.
Okay. Vote?
Vote on motion 20-777. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Resolution number 20-778, in the matter of approving the sanitary sewer subdividers agreement for Evans Farm, Section 2, Phase C.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Morning, Commissioners. Tiffany Mag, Director of Environmental Services. This is a standard subdividers agreement. It's the next section of Evans Farm. It's directly east of the Parade of Homes lots on the north side of that area, and there's 13 lots included in this section.
Okay. Vote?
Vote on motion 20-778. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Resolution number 20-779, in the matter of approving a transfer of appropriation for the litter grant.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Good morning, Commissioners. Karen First, Fiscal Manager. The Health District is requesting a transfer appropriation. Due to COVID, they've not been able to use the compensation line as much, so they are asking to move the $1,000 from compensation to services and charges.
Okay. Vote?
Vote on motion 20-779. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye. Thanks, Karen.
Rob, a couple seconds.
Rob. Yeah.
Resolution number 20-780, in the matter of awarding the bid and approving contracts between the Delaware County Commissioners and Shelley and Sands Incorporated for DEL-CR13-1.65 Worthington Road improvements and Strasser Paving Company for DEL-CR14-1.23 East Powell Road improvements Phase 2.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Morning, Rob Riley, Chief Deputy Engineer. Very pleased to bring you two contracts for your approval. The first is East Powell Road. This is a project that will upgrade the section between Old State Road and just to the west of Bale Canyon. Strasser Paving was the low bidder on this contract. We've worked with Strasser a number of times. They do really good work. The bid was about 4.5% below the, 7% below the engineer's estimate on that one. And then the Worthington Road project will upgrade the intersection at Africa Road as well as up north to Highland Lakes Avenue. Shelley and Sands was the low bidder on that project. We've worked with Shelley and Sands a number of times as well. So their bid was about 4.5% below the engineer's estimate. So we're recommending moving ahead with both of these projects. Schedule-wise, on East Powell Road, work has already started, so we're actually moving ahead with the work to the east of I-71 right now. That will be finished up before winter, and then to the west of I-71, that will resume in the spring. Worthington Road, we have some utility relocation work to do, or I should say that the utility owners have some work to do, and so that work really will not begin until next year in any significant capacity. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
When would the projects be done, do you think?
East Powell Road is scheduled to be done in November of next year. We would expect Worthington Road may go into 2022. The majority of the work will be done next year, but some of the finished work would probably go into 2022.
And how about traffic?
Traffic, on East Powell Road, we have a full closure east of I-71 for about 60 days. We are incentivizing the contractor to complete those road closures more quickly, so we're providing a financial incentive to do that. Fortunately, we have enough cross streets that traffic can detour reasonably efficiently using Orange Road. Of course, we have the Bell Canyon intersection already upgraded, so for the most part, although it does create some headaches, traffic can get where it needs to go. Worthington Road and Africa Road, we will maintain two-way traffic south of that intersection on Worthington Road, but to the north, it will be one direction only. It'll be northbound on Worthington Road and eastbound or southbound on Africa Road. So again, there will be some short-term inconveniences, but fortunately, we've done enough upgrades in the area that you'll be able to get around.
Good. Good to see you. Two major projects. We've been working on those for a while. So
Yes.
It's good to see them coming to fruition. All right, vote.
Vote on motion 20-780. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Resolution number 20-781, in the matter of establishing a county public defender commission.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Fromer, County Administrator. We have here before you a resolution to establish a Public Defenders Commission. As you know, we had a work session with the judges, and subsequently Eric and I have had a lot of discussions and evaluating this, the potential for a public defender's office. And we're kind of recommending, with this resolution, a little bit of a hybrid approach. Most public defender offices handle 80 to 90% of the caseload, and 20 to 10%, 10 to 20% are done by outside counsel. We're recommending a hybrid approach where we start with a smaller public defender staff, maybe more like 50-50, and over the next few years have that group be added as we look at the caseload. And it'll help the department, I think, be a lot more efficient to start smaller and build up over time instead of just bringing in a large group of people. It's envisioned that 2 assistant public defenders would be assigned to the Common Pleas General Division, and 2 assistant public defenders would be assigned to municipal court. And then the juvenile court and domestic relations would continue to use outside counsel initially. So that's kind of the framework, and I don't know, Eric, if you have anything else to add, or if you have any additional questions or comments.
Good idea. Yeah.
We obviously have had a number of conversations through the work session, and I think it's a great idea. And the key is, applaud the fact that we're doing it, let's say slowly or methodically, because I think we get a better result and be more efficient. And the key will be that the person who's going to run the public defender's office, that person not only being an attorney theoretically, but also being somebody who can be a good administrator. And because in theory, we ought to have better results with attorneys inside the building as far as being able to cover more cases than the current system allows for. So excited about the prospects.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, I know the judges have been weighing in on this, both in public session as well as working with you and Eric. And again, I think it makes a lot of sense to go this direction, go slowly, make sure it works, make sure it's effective. Again, I think we're all in it to provide the good, reasonable cost defense to indigent defendants. So this has been studied a lot, and this looks like a real good direction to go. So I want to thank everybody who participated in this, the judges, the people, and again, who did the legwork and figured this out. So with that, we'll take a vote.
Vote on motion 20-781. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
I think it's worth noting also that the prosecutor is also on board with this concept. So I think it's important in Delaware County that the people be represented well. And I think it's commendable that all parts of our judges and the prosecutor are all on board with this, because it speaks well, I think, of our desire to make sure everybody gets fair representation. So.
Good point. The prosecutor's been on board, involved in it. Okay.
That brings us to administrator reports.
I have nothing to report.
See, Commissioner Merrill.
We really don't have a lot. Two things. Of course, we have our annual meeting tomorrow, as SEPCO had last week. Ours will be a hybrid. The board members, because there's 9 of us, will do ours in person, but the membership will be Zooming in, and that's tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and hopefully 10 to 12, and we'll have that behind us, our annual meeting. And another thing, my son called me, actually, he's working the Richwood Fair as an electrician, and I drove up there to bring him food. And they're just having the junior fair at there, and I've never been on the Richwood Fairgrounds, which I believe, according to him, is private, I believe.
That is a private fair.
And so much smaller than a typical fair for the reasons we're all aware of, but it was an opportunity to see the fair and see how they're handling it. So that's all I have.
Okay. Commissioner Lewis?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, just a couple of things. Morpsey Executive Committee is this afternoon. See, we had our SEPCO board meeting Friday. We talked about that. The Smart Shopper seems to be, actually, we have our SEPCO regular board meeting tomorrow, next day. We're going to cover a couple topics that are of interest. One is the Smart Shopper program that I've mentioned before. And that is where an organization that we may retain provides services to help people covered by SEPCO to find alternative, less expensive ways to get some procedures done, and they can get a check. So it should be real interesting. The individual, by virtue of shopping around, saving SEPCO money, can actually get a little bit of a savings as well, get a check from SEPCO. We're looking at a new wellness vendor. Hopefully that'll be resolved tomorrow. We have no meeting on Monday. It is Veterans Day, or Labor Day, I mean. And so I hope everyone has a real nice long weekend. One other thing that passed yesterday, or maybe it was Tuesday, and that is House Bill 606 was passed by both the House and the Senate, and this is the Liability Immunity Bill. It was passed in both chambers and will be presented to the governor for his signature, which is expected. And it protects local governments, businesses, community organizations, agencies, et cetera, from frivolous liability lawsuits related to COVID epidemic. So very important that we got this passed, because a lot of businesses, the guidelines were changing. It was very difficult to implement, and they were constantly changing. So businesses, et cetera, were very worried about being sued, frivolously, and having to settle and having significant economic damages to their businesses and government organizations and so on. It will go into effect in 90 days, but it will be retroed to March 9th, and it will continue through September 30th of 2021. So, good news out of the State House, the reasonable liability protections that businesses and agencies and governments need.
Commissioner Benton, may I add something to that?
Sure.
I think it's worth stating that all 3 of our representatives in our county, I spoke to all 3 of them, all 3 were on board. In fact, House Member Rick Rafania, I think, chaired the conference committee. Oh, did he? And they all 3 understood the need for this. There's enough, the business community is enough disadvantage. This would just only add it to that. So I applaud everyone in the state that supported it, and I think it's good legislation.
Yep, agree. Very, very helpful. There is a TID meeting next Wednesday at 9:30, I think it is. So that's it. We do have need for executive session, but I'm not sure of that. Yeah, I'm not sure we'll have time, so we do have a hearing at 10, so I guess we'll just recess until 10.